Anyway, so yeah, let's jump to these. So there's an article from the BBC 5 days ago, um, titled "Six Trump Executive Orders to Watch." So we'll just go through these and chat about them for a bit. The first one on this list they have is what I think is a pretty big deal amongst all the others: declaring drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And it says the orders argues that that cartels have engaged in a campaign of violence and terror throughout the hemisphere and flooded the U.S. with crime, posing a national security risk to the U.S. And so I don't know if we want to read the roadblocks or whatever. We could just talk about it.
I don't have a problem with this one. I would say morally, right? But Mexico is right there. And we've all known that cartels have been a problem. I feel like if the U.S. truly wanted to stop the flow of drugs and that type of stuff into the country, they could do it. They could crack down. Mexico is right there, So I think there's a lot of money to be made. But I would actually support this one. Why wouldn't you? And in the way that I guess the way cartels work, right? We saw Sicario. People are interconnected. So who's to say that if you let 1,000 migrants through the border, that 100 of those migrants don't have some kind of cartel connection? So the cartels are getting networked throughout the U.S. without even having to be on the drug side of it. They just have connections in different places, right? So if he's truly sincere about stopping this, I would say it's okay, But that's the problem. Donald Trump and sincerity. All right. Whenever I say the word Donald Trump and sincerity in the same sentence, Juice rolls his eyes. Whenever I bring that shit up.
That's not what I know. I haven't rolled my eyes yet, but I don't think that's a problem.
Oh no, Juice. Whenever I say the words Donald Trump, you roll your eyes, bro. That shit just like it's involuntary now, man. That shit just happens, bro.
I mean, you are talking about the most evil man in the world alive right now, so forgive me. You know what I'm saying? I can't help it, but let me say that it's kind of tricky though, because how do you stop organized crime who has a very clear product,
right, that people want and are willing to to pay money for? So
to answer that question, I would say that it kind of comes down to here, let me say this. Waging a war against a drug cartel, I feel like they've already done that. I feel like them being illegal and being having the whole war on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what that was. And so instead of actually targeting the cartels, because good luck finding out who's who,
right. How would you find out? Like I said,
I feel like they've been trying that for the last 40 years.
If they let us,
you could keep doing that, but if you want to take out a cartel, the way to go about it is not going to be
the individual
trying to fight them, right? Going to war with this elusive ghost, right? Because you swinging at imagine, and all they end up hitting is regular people, whether they're regular Mexican citizens or regular migrants or they're just regular American citizens, right? Who just caught up in this holistic crossfire. We've got the textbook, we've seen it before. It's already happened. So I feel like they're using specific terminology here, and this is kind of what I've seen is so Trump has already talked about remember the whole thing we were just talking about, how Trump's talking about oh shit, executive order, I'm changing the name of the of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and you were oh snap, he actually did it, I can't believe it. Other things he's talked about is going to war with Mexico.
Yeah.
So how would you How would you go to war with Mexico? By declaring them harbingers, the same way we went to war with Afghanistan, by declaring ISIS
Of the government.
like like the enemy.
Mhm.
They're terrorists, so we got to go get them. So what do we
So-
do? We went to Afghanistan, we flattened it, trying to chase an elusive organization made up of civilians who get angrier and angrier as the more people who kill. That's what he's talking about doing to Mexico. You say the cartels. The cartels is the new ISIS, right? It's a new Al Qaeda. It's a new catch-all phrase for the bad guy we need to fight. And so when he's look, this is just me like guessing, but like the way I'm looking at it, the way I kind of understand it, is that this is just an excuse to actually go in and what spin the bomb so we could buy more. I don't know, like blow up other parts, maybe take over the land, right? I don't know, like whatever the reasoning behind it is. This is just an excuse to do that. I mean, I don't know.
No, I hear what you're saying, 100%. I feel like that has a lot of validity to it. Like it's just a smokescreen just to incite war. Um, and I feel like the way to fight drug cartels is not this way. It's the other way, in the other direction. But that's highly improbable, where you affect the pockets, right? Like you tell all of Mexico and American states and counties associated, stop buying drugs. Stop buying drugs, and then in order to do that, stop doing drugs. And it's like, well, shit. Cognitively, that's insurmountable. Like you cannot
Because
make
people
that
like getting
happen.
hot.
But
the product sells itself. Yeah.
But that is like the way to do it, right? Like you hit them where it hurts. Where it really hurts is the pockets. But like the amount of effort for that, and just again, like just a paradigm shift in thinking, there's no fucking way. But this way of trying to just go directly at the cartels, we're gonna get rid of them all. It's like might as well flatten Mexico.
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah.
Like might as well just get rid of Mexico, and then that'll get rid of them all. And it's like fuck. So
yeah, because it's like, all right,
I hear what you're saying. Yeah,
because like I feel like we're halfway there. Well, we were, I mean, it ain't gonna go nowhere now. But like with the whole legalization and regulation, man, like we've seen this before, dude. Like we had it with marijuana, right? We had it with alcohol, man. It's the same thing. Like if you want to take out the cartels, there are no more bootleggers.
Mm-hmm.
Bootleggers is a brand now because it's fun and hip. There are no bootleggers anymore for the sole reason because we decided to take this poison, alcohol, call it what you may, but it is poison. Shit ain't good for you, but we love it. And we legalize it. We regulate it. We put it on shelves and made it available for people to buy at a reasonable price. And we put laws surrounding it. Don't drive drunk. Your ass going to jail. Or, like you put stuff around it. And that's how you get rid of the cartels, right? Dr. K is talking about it's not really Mexican cartels, but more about MS-13 and other homegrown gangs. But I feel like that's still like all catch-all, right? Like it's all just the bad guys, right? The cartels is one phrase, like call them the Bloods, call them the Crips, like they was trying to, like they were selling drugs too, right? It's like this is just part of the network, right? The Hell's Angels fucking selling drugs too, right? Like it's all the network. These are the distributors, but like you got the roots of like the source of these illegal drugs is always going to come down to them being illegal, man.
Well,
And I
yeah,
know it's
but
hard
there,
to say, but like, hey, legalize cocaine. Niggas is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know how bad
yeah,
that
right.
is?
Yeah,
But you, it's
because you
like
don't
at the same time,
you legalize weed. You go down the street, you smell people smoking weed. Okay, they're smoking weed over there. You don't want to go to the mall and have your kids there when they legalize cocaine and people are high off cocaine or heroin. So I don't think legalization is necessarily
well,
the
what's the
route
worst
to
case
go to
scenario
either,
of your
because people
kid
will abuse that
encountering?
shit.
Wait, what's the worst case scenario of your kid encountering a
There are
crackhead
levels to
that's legal
drugs.
versus a crackhead that's illegal? Because there's going to be a
There
crackhead regardless. A crackhead is there either way, right? The crackhead is
there
already there.
there are levels to drugs, bruh. Okay, and somebody being high off weed and someone being high off cocaine is two totally different highs, bruh. They don't act the same. You know what I mean? Like they
Oh,
don't. So it's there's a and also when you mix that with
so
other
I like so,
medications
and
and other
therefore, sorry.
pills, I don't think legalization is the proper way to go. And you
I
know,
didn't
for
say just
these
legalization. I
cartels,
said legalize and regulate.
well, how do you regulate? Because then you're
The
gonna
same way
have
we regulate
it's
alcohol.
like I said, there's levels to the thing with alcohol is it's all on how much you consume, right? You can consume a cup and be good. Some people can consume a bottle and be fucked up, you know.
Same with a
So there's
joint.
a level there. I think harder drugs, what they call Schedule 2, Schedule 3 drugs, there's a fine line there because you don't want people walking around too high off PCP and shit like that. Like, what is legal and what's not? Are you going to legalize cocaine and not legalize heroin? Well, what if I cook the
Yeah.
heroin down and make it into something else? You know, am I going to legalize? You know, so and people always will take advantage of an opportunity. So I
But
think people will.
I think if you
It's going to
nip
be
it where
harder to
you give
regulate.
people the high that they're looking for, right? Like, here, what is crack? Like crack
Cocaine
is
cooked down.
Crack is cheap
right,
cocaine.
huh?
Cheap cocaine.
It's cocaine
Cheap
cooked
cocaine,
up.
right?
It's rocked up.
But what they
Yeah.
want is the
So
cocaine,
you can smoke it.
right? No, nobody's gonna like if you could just give people the cocaine,
Well, actually,
they're
I
not
heard
gonna
that
go for
crack
this.
gives you a
They're
more
not gonna
potent
go on
high.
their own make this lower level crack, right?
Well, I heard that
Because they
crack
got
gives
the
you.
good stuff for a
It's also
reasonable
about the.
price.
It's also about the type of high that you're getting. You know what I mean? Like I've heard that different
I've never
drugs give you
tried
different
neither,
highs. I
but there's a
mean,
different high between crack. I've
you
heard
know,
that crack.
just to lighten it up.
We're
While
going
we're
down a
on
rabbit
crack,
hole.
and while we're on
It's,
crack, is like how you just hold that first piece of crack in your mouth and smoke. Like if I gave you a pipe with some crack in it, juice, and I say, hey Frank, man, here, man, try this crack. You know what I mean? Like it's like what the fuck? Like who? How do you even get hooked on crack? You know what I mean? So I'm gonna give you a crack rock. You know, but whatever.
well,
All right.
Well, because
yeah, we're going on a rabbit hole. Like I know,
Yeah.
but my whole look, we're talking about reasons. Let's go. Let's
I
bring
just
it
want
back. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back.
Crack rock.
I just want to say one quick thing. One quick thing.
Yeah.
So as far as the legalization and regulation, I feel like so. Let's talk about weed for a second, right? I feel like weed is probably that's why weed is like on the docket right now, right? For as far as it being legalized in different
It was.
but I feel like because weed has benefits in certain specific situations, right? Like chemotherapy treatment, medication, dealing with using it as medication to deal with chronic pain or so something having to do with like the body not being able to regulate itself without the marijuana. So I feel like if you're going as far as like cocaine, heroin, PCP, acid, speed, and shit like that stuff doesn't carry those same benefits that marijuana does. So
Well, neither does
feel,
alcohol.
no, neither does alcohol. I think alcohol is just that's something that's based on the fact that it's followed us through history, and it makes everyone feel good until they overdo it. But anyway,
That's what all the other drugs do.
but that's where the regulation comes. That's where the regulation comes in.
That's where regulation comes in.
But that's why I feel like weed is easier to manage just because there are benefits to it that are known and clocked versus heroin where it's like Oh, it probably. I don't know. I've never done heroin. I probably never will.
I don't know.
But like,
I said probably.
heroin.
Like, hell no.
Well, you never know.
If I gave you a needle and said, Frank, tie this shit around your arm and inject
Get
yourself
outta
with this shit, like, what the fuck? Like, get out,
Like-
man. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell?
But like,
No, man.
But,
I
like-
like.
that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying like it's probably easier to make a case to legalize marijuana versus legalizing heroin. You know, so that's all.
All I'm saying is we've tried it the old way forever, and we still got the cartels, and now we're about to go to war in Mexico.
Because there's a lot of money at stake.
Before we do that, I just think it'd be a better idea. Maybe we try the other way. Yeah, if it doesn't work, right?
drugs.
If it doesn't work,
Drugs
then, hey,
is like
there's always the wars, right? There's always the cartels.
The cartels are like it's like $1 billion industry, bro. It's like it's why we started this off, and I was like, I question Trump's sincerity on this, because if you truly want to slow down the flow of drugs into America, okay, I can get behind it. But one, there's a lot of money at stake, and two, the cartel is like a hydra, man. So if you cut off a head, there's somebody's going to step in to fill that void to keep making the money. You know what I mean?
How do you kill the hydra, D?
There's money to be made.
How do you kill the hydra, D?
Well, you don't invite the hydra in your house. You don't invite it in your house and say, "Come on in and watch a movie." Either
it's the heart.
This is
the heart of the hydra.
Yeah,
it's drugs, man.
Yeah,
like you gotta nip that into the drugs.
I think people are always
either you kill what they make the drugs out of, or you make it so it's not a pipeline needed to get the drugs. That's it. There's only options.
To regulate it, you're going to have to produce it, right? Because either that or you're going to have to have side producers, right? A lot of the ingredients to produce those drugs come from Mexico and South American countries. So they're not going to willingly give up their power to get you the ingredients you need to produce said drug so that you can make the money. And it would have to be a Mexican. The cartel people would still be involved in some way. You would just be enabling them to legitimize their business. They wouldn't
be cartels. They would be business owners.
I don't know.
And there would be a revenue.
About this
there would be a tax income, and it would be you could fucking tariff that shit. I don't know, but like, it would become legitimate. It wouldn't be the evil cartels. It would be a supplier of this particular product, like coffee. Right? Yeah. You have supply.
They start importing cocaine to this part. Yeah, they already do it. So shit. It just be, legal.
Yeah, it just be legal. Like this is how it works. Like it's only a problem. We at this. I did not mean to go down this rabbit hole, man. Now I'm not here arguing for drug abolition and shit. Like, you
sound like a drug apologist.
Get back to the thing, but man, like it's
drug abolitionist.
Yeah, man. But all I'm saying is that it just really comes down to either you kill the source, or you make it so you don't have bottlenecks in the production in the product. Right?
I feel you on wanting to do something different.
Regulate it that way. Now, if you have people that go outside of that regulation, you can charge those people, right? Like you have people, you can't just make alcohol, right? You can't just make alcohol and distribute it. That's illegal. But how many people do you know do that? Nobody, because you could just buy this shit.
Alcohol is also a lot harder to make. You got to look at the logistics of it too. Where do these ingredients for these drugs come from? So
alcohol is not hard to make.
It would be hard. Well, yeah, but
people
who's going to go get corn and ferment this shit?
Nobody
going to do that. I'm going to go pay $10.99. I'm going to go get a bottle from ABC. You know what I'm saying? But it's still, there's nuances, man. There's logistics in it. So, like, it's not going to be as simple as regulate it. Now we can control it. If you don't know that, legalize it, it can spiral out of control even more. You know what I mean? Like, there's I would venture to say that since they legalized marijuana, there are more marijuana smokers, more people who tried marijuana than who did before they legalized it, because it's easy, it's convenient to get now. You don't want to make certain drugs convenient to get.
Wait, there's stats on that deal. There's stats on that, and there was a spike at the beginning, but it decreased.
I do think people are getting smarter towards weed. Yeah.
A spike at the beginning. Everyone was like, "Oh, it's legal now. Let's get it."
Oh shit!
I bought a bunch. I bought a bunch of weed. I smoked it for like a week, and I'm like, "Oh, I forgot." Like I don't even
I
smoking
forgot I
like
had that
that.
shit.
Damn.
Yeah, I forgot I
I
had the
can't
weed.
do shit,
Yeah.
man. Like, that's not really my thing. So I got shit in my fucking fridge that's been sitting there. I should probably throw it away at this point. But
And
I bought
now
a
they
bunch. I
got
was like, oh shit, it's legal. I can get it now. Yes. And then I'm just like, well,
The drill is gone.
not
yeah,
really my
no,
stuff. I forgot. It's just there, man. That shit-
The drill is
now they got
gone.
like
but that's
they
how it
got weed
works.
products. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
you're
but
right. You're right.
that's how it works, though. You know what I'm saying? It's like you get whenever you make anyway. We already covered it. It makes it illegal, and you make casualties, right? You restrict freedom, you make casualties. Like this is all it comes down to. But anyway, let's jump to the next topic. Oh wait,
Mm-hmm.
no, I still didn't say. All right, anybody want to say anything else on the whole terrorism of drug cartel stuff?
Nah, but so there was a part just real quick in the roadblocks. So what are the roadblocks to this executive order? Designating a cartel as a terrorist group could open the door to prosecuting U.S. citizens or even legitimate businesses found to be somehow tied to those groups. It's crazy. And even what's the potential impact? For one, the designation of these groups as foreign terrorist organizations could be ultimately used to justify military actions against targets in Mexico. So just like Frank was saying, like you, they're just going to use this executive order to accomplish different goals. So now if they think that you're involved with a cartel, now they can run up in your house. I mean, how many people in Texas and along the border, New Mexico, or all, what I mean, California, Southern California, like. I mean, it's just opening the door for them to just kick your shit in and say, no, you got something to do with them, and now we're gonna get you out of here. So
Also, like, how is the military handling drug cartels? Like, what's that gonna look like? Like, you guys gonna have the military handling police work.
it sounds like all out war, really.
That's what it'll be. All right, the next one is pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord. So I think I already did that shit. Said, what does the order say? The executive order asks the U.S. ambassador to the UN to immediately submit a formal written request to withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement. It says the accord does not reflect the country's values or its economic and environmental objectives. Potential impacts. The U.S. is responsible for an 11% of global greenhouse gas emissions, making it the second biggest polluter behind China. This damages the global effort to limit emissions. To withdraw in the past has raised issues of trust in climate leadership and questions about whether or not the agreement itself has been effective. And Trump, this is something I recall that this is one of the first things he did in his first presidency. Obama essentially enacted the whole Paris Climate Accord, or he signed on to it initially, being the first person who helped put it together. And as a leader, he signed into it to put America under certain emission restrictions, if I remember right, like restrictions for emissions. And Trump immediately was like, "Yeah, fuck that."
Yeah, it's weird how
And he did
one
it again.
president's. It's weird how one president's. You figured there would be some kind of vision. I know we're tribal and we got to remember this party. I'm in that party, but one president will say something, next will come in and say, "Nah, fuck that, we ain't doing it."
Yeah.
So then, like you said earlier in this conversation, maybe that's why you need those behind the scenes people who don't move necessarily, who are not elected. You need some of those guys to kind of steer things, as far as when an elected official is coming in and out of office. So you need continuity there.
Yeah, like they kind of like are the cogs that keep the machine running.
Yeah. So this one says the U.S. is responsible for around 11% of the global greenhouse gas emissions, making it the second biggest polluter behind China. This damages the global effort to limit emissions. So it's kind of so I guess they said so later on in the article says the withdrawal is in line for Trump's goals to boost domestic oil and gas production. So why I would like to understand what is the true reason you withdrew from this? Like, would you not want to limit your global gas emissions?
He doesn't believe in it.
Yeah, this one doesn't make too much sense to me. It's like some things seem cut and dry, like common sense versus not common sense. To me, If you want to deal with the cartels, legalizing drugs is kind of not common sense. This one seems like
it's not common sense. It takes research and understanding of the system. But go ahead.
Okay, but it doesn't seem like common sense. It doesn't seem like common sense. This
common
one,
sense is foolishness. Go on.
Well, it depends on what whose shoes you're standing in. You know what I mean? Because your common sense might not be my common sense, I guess that's why you need those people.
Which is why research and sorry, go on.
I guess.
Go ahead.
I mean, how do you research legalizing heroin? Like, there's no research to be done.
Heroin? Yeah.
Are there any countries that have legalized
heroin? Why do you think this idea
Are there any countries that have done it? I want to see examples. I don't want to see who. And don't say a small country like the Netherlands or something like that. This is a big.
You asked the country.
The U.S. is big.
The size of the country. Okay. Do you want a large country?
Yes, it totally matters. You have population.
I'm telling you that a country has, and they have results.
They always, whenever they do these things and these, they'll say something. They'll be like, "Oh, well, Denmark did it." I'm like, Denmark is like a third of the size of the U.S. Man, it doesn't always work that way. There's a bigger impact where it only might have affected a certain country 15% of such and such whatever statistic. It might affect the U.S. 35% of the same statistic because you have more of a population.
So you want You're just well, that's kind of like not really reasonable, is it? Like, I don't think that's reasonable to be like, hey, we have research. We have.
So you want to legalize?
We've set up small examples. We set up small situations, and and the country has enacted it, and all of these have provided relatively positive results. And so
you want a country as large as the U.S.
because you didn't do it with.
You want a country as large.
China to do it, like.
You want a country as large as the U.S. to legalize a highly addictive drug? You forget these drugs are addictive.
On to another topic now.
Okay, well,
what I'm saying is that what I'm saying now is that the current situation is not working.
You got to remember, these drugs are addictive, juice. People kill for these things.
Alcohol is addictive. Niggas die from alcohol poisoning, and niggas die from alcoholism all the time.
True, 100%. But it ain't heroin.
Don't die from.
That's why they have scheduled drugs.
Is being in jail from drinking alcohol.
All right, we gotta agree to disagree on this one.
I mean,
but
you don't have. Yeah, I'm gonna ask you to agree.
I don't. So it's okay.
I'm just saying, I got some evidence. And common sense is foolishness.
So yeah, I mean, I really don't have much else to say about this pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord. I mean, common sense to me, it seems like you would want to stay in it, right? I don't know much about.
You don't believe in it.
It depends on what the relationships are within the UN and the US and who's here and who's, the relationships change from presidency to presidency. Maybe even more to your point. That's why you need those behind the scenes people to kind of keep some of those relationships going. So.
Dr. K here says Trump and Republicans don't believe in the climate change. Therefore, the Paris Accords are nonsense.
Yeah.
That's their ideology.
To Republicans, it's common sense that climate change is nonsense.
How do you not believe in climate change?
Research on climate change, the doctor or the scientists who study climate and the scientists who know how to read the data all say, hey, this is a problem. And I think we're actually seeing the results when I mentioned earlier, it's snowing in Florida, but they're like
climate change is a scientific proven, observational fact, whereas other common sense things like drug legalization is not, where you're dealing with people in society. You know what I mean? Like one can be proven over the other. You know what I'm saying?
Climate change is not a fact.
Bro. 100%. Like the climate around the world. So you don't believe in climate change?
No, I think it's happening. It's not a fact because it's still a theory.
It's a phenomenon.
It's a phenomenon. Fine. Right. Sorry, but like it's something it's happening, and you can look at it through the lens of this is happening because it's climate change. But I'm sure some people think it's a fucking Anunnaki coming back, right? So it's not like hey, we've observed it before, and we've experimented up, and we've seen this happen in these contained situations.
Yeah.
Therefore, this is a result of our research and understanding. This is definitively climate change. That's not what it is. There's people looking at data, researching, and understanding that data, and then drawing the conclusion that this is a problem. We're going to call it global warming. We're going to change that to climate change. We're going to call it whatever we want. We need to the point that this is a problem and that we can fix it by regulating greenhouse gases. But like,
Seems
common
like
sense to them is like, well, God put people here 6,000 years ago. Therefore, why would God warm up the earth? That's common sense.
I mean, I guess not to me and you, it ain't. So I guess their common sense is not. I guess their common sense is not our common sense. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But
Okay.
you need those people behind the scenes to maintain the relationship. So I'm sure there's still, maybe the next president will come in. If Trump doesn't get his third term, then the next president will come in and join it again. They said, so didn't Trump end it earlier and then Biden rejoined when he became president? Yeah. President Biden rejoined it shortly after taking office in 2021. Yeah. Okay. So one president says no, the other president says yeah, the next president says no. It's the way it works. I'm sure those relationships are still maintained. I don't know how much of an impact this is going to have. Maybe it's just Trump trying to prove a point. I'm going to do it just because I can. So yeah, I'm going to jump to the next.
Yeah.
Next executive order.
Okay, 2021. Yeah, my bad. I was looking when he rejoined. So the next one is ending birthright citizenship.
This one's tricky.
Yeah, it said it's tough to deliver, according to the BBC. So what does the order say? The order claims to end birthright citizenship for children born in the U.S. to immigrant parents who are in the country illegally, as well as those born to parents who are in the country on a temporary basis. There have been reports that the administration will enforce this order by withholding documents such as passports from people it deems ineligible for citizenship. Roadblocks. The principle of birthright citizenship is established in the U.S. Constitution. The 14th Amendment says that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. It's pretty clear cut. Potential impact. Trump has threatened mass deportations, which could include those whose birthright citizenship is revoked if Trump is successful in enforcing this executive action. Legal cases could ultimately have to be decided by Supreme Court, which could take a long time. So,
the first part of that is going to be really tricky, because it's always been, you come here of immigrant parents, you're born here, you're naturalized citizen, you were born here. I would almost agree that the second part, so as it says, as well as to those born of parents who are in the country on a temporary basis. Now, if you're here working in the U.S. for 6 months and you have a child here, is your child a naturalized U.S. born citizen? I could kind of agree with maybe no, you shouldn't be, right? If you're here on a temporary basis, right? Now, what is temporary? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? Is it 2 years? 3 years? This one's tough. This is going to be tough to enact. I don't know if he's going to even be able to do this, right? I mean, because in that case, everybody's immigrants, right? Like, we're all immigrants.
I think that's the end goal.
Yeah.
I think that's the end goal.
Thing against Mexico.
Look, if you ain't been...
That goal is what? Get rid of everybody?
Right. So, how long do you have to be here to be a citizen?
Get rid of the people you don't think belong here.
Yeah. Right. 100%.
That's not going to be not going to be the immigrants from the UK or Norway.
He's got a thing for Mexico.
From fucking Mexico.
Yeah, he's got a thing for Mexico.
Haiti, and it's going to be all in India. Indians think Indians is going to get caught up in the joint too, man. Like thinking they ain't going to be caught up in that joint, but they don't like you either. like the Asians, gonna be all the ones you think ain't supposed to be here, which they gonna be determining by what you look like. I believe that's my interpretation of it.
Yeah, this is going to be
There
a
was a
tough order to
clip
enact.
of Trump's interview with Sean Hannity recently.
This might
So
be tougher than the cartels, because I think the cartels is more of like an end game. There's a reason. I don't think they're truly going after the cartels. I think there's an objective that they want. They want to be able to more control the border. This one right here, denying people citizenship is going to be tough, because then you're going to the Constitution, right? And the 14th Amendment, all persons born or naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States. So this is constitutional, man. This is not based on your opinion of who you think should be here. You're going to have to actually amend the Constitution to
notice
enact
the
it,
last
right?
line. It said, legal cases could ultimately have to be decided by the U.S. Supreme Court.
Damn, man. Frank just said he controls the goddamn Supreme Court, man. Damn, man. Trump got this shit on lock, bro. I see why y'all hating on Trump, man. Or Juice is hating. No, Juice is always hating Trump. No, I'm not even hating on you. Hate Trump, bro. This goes back to 2016. This is deep rooted right here, man.
Hey, I'm also not a fan. So
I'm not either. But generally, I wouldn't say I'm a fan of any president, right? Because
not a fan.
We see what the problems are, and they know too, and they work for the establishment,
Dr. K says citizenship. A judge in Seattle has already stated that he was unconstitutional. So
yeah, it's crazy. There's going to be
there's a path there. There's an opening there that it could.
Yeah, I don't see him.
It could be deemed unconstitutional, and it could even be beyond like his level of power. That if it's found unconstitutional, there's ain't shit he can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it can go to the Supreme Court, and all they have to do was but we're gonna add an amendment. Aren't amendments created through Congress?
Yes.
Amendments go through Congress. So correct. Okay, so all right. If that's the case, then it might be a harder. It might not be possible.
All the Supreme Court can do is deem it constitutional or not.
Okay.
As far as whatever is trying to be passed as an amendment. Now, I don't know about the case of an amendment of an amendment, because that's also
the amended amendment.
Yeah, that's also a thing. It could be they could rewrite the amendment, but I think it's probably the same level of power.
Yeah. Either way, he's evil for proposing this shit.
Trump is evil with evil
for proposing this joke, man. Like, come on, man. Like, look, my understanding I didn't know until later, and considering my American, I don't know, just naivete. But I thought most countries, if you're born there, you can become a citizen of that country. That's how I thought most places were. Apparently, not every country is like that, which fine, makes sense. But America is like that. And it's been ingrained in me since my birth that was one of the cool things of America. It's like you come here to start a new life, and your children are citizens. Huh? It's just crazy. So
I guess times change, and national security is a thing. So I can kind of see it. It does seem a little. It does seem a little oppressive, right? Like, how do you? I guess if it's as long as it's clear cut and dry, I don't know. There's no way to support this shit. I'm trying to just play devil's advocate for Trump. That's what I've always done. I know this dude's an evil guy. You know what I mean? He's an asshole.
Hey, me. I was telling my wife this. It was like we have this like natural inclination to kind of play devil's advocate, to like
just a little bit.
Yeah, some of it's natural. I can't help it. I do that John too, man. I'm like, well, what does that really mean, though? But not with Trump, though. I'm pretty sure it's 100% evil. So
and playing devil's advocate sparks debate. Nah, yeah, Trump's an asshole, bro. Seriously, during all those George Floyd, we don't see much rioting in DC, you know. And a few years ago, I mean, you know, social media, you're seeing shit on Instagram and like you're seeing the helicopters hover over the crowd, and then there's fucking gas pellets being shot out into the crowd to disperse. And this motherfucker's walking across the street to do a photo op. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's just, this guy don't care about nobody, man. Like, you know, he'll order them to gun you down or some shit, you know? Crazy.
The doc just proposed or just like introduced a whole nother aspect of the whole citizenship thing. I can't talk. Citizenship thing that I had never even thought about. She said the main problem is that if the kids are not citizens, this will open the door to stateless people. And without citizenship, these kids will have trouble getting any paper from anywhere. So it's likely that it's not like if your kid is born like in a country and that country just like not accept them as a citizen of that country, that means like if they're forced to leave, there's no guarantee that where their parents are from will accept them, or assuming their parents even with them at that point, and then you just have like this person who's just like has no place to be, you know?
Yeah, which is weird. Yeah, it comes down. Yeah, you're right. I was about to say, you know, here's the common sense word again. It's like if your parents are from Guatemala and you were born of your parents and you're not a citizen here, naturally Guatemala should accept you as a citizen of Guatemala, right? Like you are Guatemalan heritage. You weren't born there, but then, like you said, like what if they don't have their parents? What if their parents passed away or something like that? Or, you know, I don't know, just say there's some kind of special circumstance.
Say they left Guatemala off of some disagreement, some political issue, right?
Everything is so bureaucratic, you know, and that's where like bureaucratic and the common senses don't mix together because it seems cut and dry, but there's levels to the shit, I guess.
Yeah, kind of saying when she had to get the kids Belgian citizenship, she first had to prove that they were American citizens first.
Oh, damn. First, and in parentheses out here, man. Dang, man. Bruh. So, yeah. That's crazy. So, that's your fault, Juice, you know?
What?
You're American. You're American self, man. You should have proved they were American, man.
Hey,
American.
Hey, luckily, you know, America accepts the children born here as citizens.
It's crazy.
Otherwise,
right?
It might be difficult
for now.
And you know, that's wild. Yeah, I'm like, this could actually affect, and it's. Yeah, I don't know how this is going to go over. I don't know if he can deliver on this one.
Well, God willing, he can't.
He's got 4 years to do it, maybe 8. This Tennessee senator gets his way.
So, see, this is one of those things I don't think it's enough time. I don't think. I
don't think so either. Yeah.
He's going to try, sure, but I don't think there's enough time.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know. Because again, top of mind. He's motivated.
Yeah, just fun fact. Remember that Hitler removed the citizenship from Jews.
Yeah.
So he was just like, "Yeah, you're no longer citizens anymore." That's an entire swath of people. So
Juice's favorite Trump comparison, man. Hitler, man. You know,
he's not far
off. It's an apt.
Yeah, you're really not. The only thing Trump is missing is a Holocaust or two. You know what I mean? So maybe that's what he's trying to get with this shit. Who knows, man? And I hate to make light of the Holocaust.
Let's keep going.
That's 9, man. We have been waffling out here. Like, what time? Oh man, it's been an hour and a half. Let's just blow through this because I still want to talk about the Nazi. So withdrawing from withdrawing from World Health Organization, the WHO.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
This is all over COVID.
I'm sorry.
Drama.
Continue reading. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. The order says that the U.S. was withdrawing due to the organization's mishandling. I told you of the COVID-19 pandemic. I didn't read this before. Right? It's over COVID. The organization's mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Trump's long-held antipathy toward the WHO is rooted in a perception that it was dominated by and so soft on China, which the president has long believed was responsible for the spread of the virus. It also mentions unfairly onerous payments, which is something Trump would say, the U.S. made to WHO unfairly. Trump's always worried about shit being fair. Whatever.
Yeah.
What are the roadblocks in the set? And this is marked as deliverable. So, you know, this is the second time he's ordered the U.S. to pull out of the WHO. It won't take place until 2026 at the earliest, but leaving will require the approval of Congress. So that might be a bit of a roadblock, depending on how Congress pans out. On paper, the Republicans have a majority in both House and Congress right now, but their numerical advantage is slim. It'll only take a few Republican defectors to potentially block the move. What is the potential impact? Catastrophic, disastrous, damaging is how some global public health experts are describing it. It's possible that the funding could disappear almost overnight, and that could have an impact on the ability of the WHO to respond to emergencies. So there's other stuff here. But remember, if we have a zombie outbreak, the WHO is going to be the first ones on the scene, right? So we kind of need them. Y'all remember World War Z?
So my whole thing is that there is a clear motive here, and we I feel personally that the motive is because this whole thing stemmed from COVID. That was one of the sour spots in his campaign and his presidency, right? And he wants to erase all evidence of that. He wants his time as president to be unmarred, and that's one of the biggest things, because that the way it was handled while he was president, he was not popular for it at all. So
that's why he lost.
I feel like that's the clear motive for why. That's one of the clear motives for why he wants to pull out of the WHO.
He wants to discredit them.
Right. He wants to discredit them and therefore take the attention away from his bullshit. Exactly, his bullshit.
Yep.
So
100%. This is this is personal for Trump.
100%,
man. And he's a guy who's petty enough to dismantle an organization, worldwide organization.
Too. That's the thing. Like, so he has the power to do that
because he was wrong.
That's fucking
that's
crazy.
That's who this guy is. Like the devil incarnate.
It could also be a play. It could also be like a chess match too. So it says of the 196 member states, the U.S. is by far the largest individual funder, contributing almost a fifth of the total WHO budget. So maybe it's some posturing going on. Maybe just, hey, if you don't. And so he pulled out in his first term, or he tried to enact pulling out in his first term.
Mm-hmm.
Was I reading that right?
Yeah, I think so. But it was like so late in his campaign. I mean, in his COVID hit like right towards the middle to the end. There was really not much he could do to pull out.
It says it's possible that funding could disappear with the U.S. withdrawal almost overnight, and that could have an impact on the ability of WHO to respond to emergencies. There's also a concern among some scientists that this would leave the U.S. isolated when it comes to access to programs. See, that's very dangerous, right? Like, you want to isolate the majority because of a beef that you have, like, you don't want to destroy bridges. It's the World Health Organization, bro. You need to be in the loop about things, you know what I mean? So hopefully this is some posturing to just get what you want. I don't think it's a good thing.
No, this is definitely like online. Like Trump always talks about like the same thing with NATO. It's like, oh, we pay all the money to NATO. We fund so much of this and so much of that. He's always worried about that. But like, we are the richest country. Like, we throw billions of dollars away for nothing, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to we have these collaborative international agreements and organizations. If we were to fund anything,
it makes sense.
WHO and NATO are probably one of the ones that we should probably be funding. Definitely more so than whatever they about the $5 billion they're talking about putting into crypto. But that's a whole other
100%.
thing. or AI.
Well, you know,
The 5 billion is talking about putting the AI in crypto. It's going to be crazy.
he's a rich capitalist, and you know they don't like to pay their fair share. You know, if they did, then people would be paying a higher tax rate. You know, in the U.S., the rich people would be paying a higher tax rate. So, you know, he don't want to pay his fair share. You know, we are the richest country in the world, so you should carry the heaviest bill.
They already don't pay their fair share. But yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now that's again, man, petty ass Trump. Oh, next one. We talked about this briefly, but renaming the Gulf of Mexico.
Hard bars, bro. This is the hardest. This is
like
by
this
far
is the least thing I've ever thought about my entire life.
just from like a standby, like
at all.
on the sidelines. This is the hardest executive order of this whole list, bro. This shit is like gangster. This is gangster stuff right here, man. Like, not only am I going to war with y'all cartels and regulating the border and sending all y'all mothers back home, I'm also renaming the Gulf, bro. Say, oh, hold on, man. Is the world going to recognize this? Say, let's read this.
So the order calls for the Gulf of Mexico to be officially to be renamed the Gulf of America.
That shit just sounds funny. Right. This shit is hard.
The Gulf of America. Okay. Sure. Trump can change the name of the Gulf on U.S. official government documents. This has happened on some documents already, including the weather update from Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, which refers to an area of low pressure moving across the Gulf of America.
Damn.
Wow. What are the roadblocks? Trump can't force other countries or companies to change the name. For example, it's currently still labeled the Gulf of Mexico on Google Maps.
Right.
Hey, considering Google was at the fucking inauguration, set up on the front seat, the Google boss,
you're
might
right.
update that shit.
Bro, this is like the most gangster one. This is the most gangster one.
There's no formal international agreement for the naming of maritime seas, although they're the body that seeks to resolve disputes if raised. So Mexico, which he will defund if they disagree. So Mexico could raise an official dispute, and allies of the U.S. and Mexico could be caught up in a diplomatic spat between two countries. In response to the order, Mexico's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, said that the U.S. can call it the Gulf of America, but it won't change what Mexico and the rest of the world call it.
Yeah, there we go.
Metric.
Damn. Well, still, that's definitely his coolest. This was a kiss my ass executive order from Trump, bro. You know what, man? Kiss my ass. Yeah. Trump was probably drunk one night. He got home. He was like, man, I'm about to change the Gulf of Mexico, man.
Yo, they said, man, no, you're not.
They said, no, you're not, man. Stop, man. Come on, you playing. He said, watch. I'm going to do that joint tomorrow. I'm writing the executive order. I'm going to do it.
I could not tell you where this is coming from, man.
This shit was a dare. This shit was a dare, man. I know.
I did not know this was this was such a concern. Right, like there are clearly other things that we could be focusing on.
Yeah, like don't we have like gay people to hate? Like, why? Let's talk about like the Gulf of Mexico.
Like, what is wrong with the name? So, like, why is it affecting you so much that you feel like you want to change it?
He's just like Mexico. I can't stand Mexico.
This was purely I'm gonna do this shit just because I can. That's what this was. Man,
that's it. Write an executive order for that, joint. Like.
You know, I bet you this was a dare. I bet you somebody dared him. So I dare you to change the name. He said, now I'll do it too. Damn.
Or diversion.
Diversion to, well, is it to add to the point of trying to flatten Mexico?
Yeah.
No.
Like, it's just like, I released this executive order to, because remember, the cartel one is kind of coded.
Yeah.
The cartels, like, we're going after the cartels, but it takes some analysis to realize that if you go after unofficial criminal organizations in another country, you end up demolishing that country in U.S. fashion. But hey, look, we changed the name to Gulf of America. And everyone's like, what? That's crazy. Why would he do that? Meanwhile, get the troops over there.
Maybe weirdly enough, this is thinking ahead. right? Like maybe their intention is to flatten Mexico, get rid of it, and then
Oh yeah, yeah, just
just
who needs Mexico anymore?
America, right? They already got the name change in there.
It's always it's gonna be just Latin America, but except they're not gonna be allowed to speak Spanish anymore.
God.
Damn.
They're all gonna have a Tennessee dialect.
Well, Trump, kudos, sir, because this was your coolest executive order right here, man. Just from a pure joking standpoint, man. This was crazy.
Was nonsense.
Yeah, it was funny.
Pure nonsense, dude.
I mean, because he said it a couple weeks ago, Gulf of America. I was like, what? Gulf of America? I bet you this shit was a dare. I bet you somebody bet him or dared him to do this shit. And he was like, I'm going to do it. I'll do it.
Don't watch dares. Look, everything this motherfucker say he means. Like,
yeah.
y'all think he don't be meaning shit when he be saying it. Like, everybody I don't mean that.
I was completely shocked.
He means everything he say.
I was shocked when he changed this. That shit was official. Like, what?
He doesn't have the filter to like really lie like that. He's a bad liar. Y'all seen him lie. He's not a good liar.
Yeah.
But
that's kind of good. It's kind of a good thing. That he's not a good liar, right? Because you can tell.
He's a terrible liar, but he still do it.
At least he'll tell you shit.
Like, he'll just do it just because. Yeah. Because he don't like Mexicans. Dog, it's very personal to him. Because remember when he came down the fucking golden escalator? His first thing this Bama ran on was Mexicans. He don't like, and I don't know what about Mexico in particular, but he don't like the Mexicanness of it.
I mean,
just something about Mexicans rubs him wrong.
What about the fucking wall?
Yeah,
like the wall. It's like immigrants, but especially Mexicans.
Especially Mexicans.
I hate these. Yeah.
It's like,
damn, I don't know.
Who hurt you?
Probably a Mexican.
A Mexican.
God damn.
A Mexican dude stole his girlfriend back in middle school or something, man. He never forgot about that shit. Yeah.
He never got over that, Joe. Hey, you don't think Trump wouldn't hold that grudge?
I definitely.
Hell yeah, he would. Yeah.
Trump will hold that joke from middle school, son.
And that's
and take it out on your whole people.
That is the paradox. That is a paradox in thought where it's like it's a joke, but it's not.
Yeah, it's right? Hilarious,
but it's not. It's crazy.
If you slighted Trump, he will go after your nationality.
He will go after your entire people and your country.
That's crazy.
This is the fucking man. This is the fucking man that's the president of the United States. For a second time.
See, I think this time around, since it's the second term, it's like a soft disclosure. It's a little bit easier for the American public to accept him as a president because he already has been there. So it's not as jarring and shocking to the system that he's actually the president. But yeah, the guy who changed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America is the president. Where the hell did this come from? It had to be a bet. I bet you somebody bet him or like it's just. I mean, because this is petty. This is ridiculous. It's like, what the hell are we doing?
Up in the middle of the night and from like sweating, and he was like, "I got to do this." Like he had a memory that came.
Did he dream?
He woke up at 3 a.m. Was like.
Did someone show him a vision? Did he have a vision of the Gulf of America or something?
You know what?
The hell, man.
I'm gonna change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf.
Yeah, like he just came up at it at breakfast with his wife. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna change the name of the Gulf of Mexico. Like that shit just occurred to him one day.
Okay, Donald.
Yeah, all right, whatever you want.
That's great. Honey.
You don't touch.
Silly, man.
Okay, Donald, just don't touch me.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. But that sounds like. The fact that it's so ridiculous is where the humor is coming from for me. It's so ridiculous. Like, dude, why are we focusing on this? But whatever. So is this the last one coming up?
Yeah.
This last one might be the most controversial.
Sorry, one sec. Frank, can you turn your mic up a bit?
My mic. Hold on.
All right. So last one. of this 6, because there's definitely more. Because we didn't even the DEI thing's not even on here, which is I thought it was gonna be on here, but I'm kind of annoyed that it's not on here. But anyway, U.S. recognizes 2 sexes, male and female. Okay, what does the order say? It is a policy of the United States to recognize 2 sexes, male and female. These sexes are not changeable and are grounded in fundamental and incontrovertible reality, it says, adding that the federal government will use the term sex, not gender identity. President Trump's team argues that the requirements to refer to trans people in the government facilities and workplaces by pronouns that match their gender identity violates the U.S. Constitution's First Amendment on freedom of speech and religion. States like Kansas, Montana have already legislated to enshrine biological definition of sex into law. Roadblocks. There will be legal challenges. Human Rights Campaign, which represents LGBTQ plus people, state that we will fight back against these harmful provisions with everything we got. The challenges could work their way up to the U.S. Supreme Court, with which conservative majority could rule in Trump's favor. This is a crazy thing to fucking do. Potential impact. Prisons and settings such as shelters for migrants and rape victims would be segregated by sex under the plans, which campaigners say will help safeguard women, but transgender rights groups say trans women could be put in a heightened risk of violence. Official identification documents, including passports, visas, will have to state whether an individual is a male or female. U.S. citizens will no longer be able to select X as a third option.
Just me, from my personal opinion, and I know this is going to be kind of controversial, okay, but I tend to agree with this one. Now, let me explain. Okay, it doesn't come out of a place of hate, right? I believe that you have the right to be and feel a little bit. So I'll get to the common sense part. I feel like you have a right to be whoever you feel like you are, right? That is the beautiful thing about America, right? Like, you have the right to come here and be born here and be who you want. You have the freedom to choose. You want to be Christian, you want to be Buddhist, you want to be gay, you want to be straight, you want to live your life as a member of the opposite sex, you can. But see, where the common sense comes in is paperwork, juice, and documentation, and X's on documents, and it's not definitive enough, right? Like, especially when it comes to legal cases or identification cases, right? Like, are you a male today? Then next year you don't feel like being a male? Or I feel like, and this is where the common sense comes in again, I feel like you should go with what you are assigned at birth, bro. That is science. I'm sorry. I know I'm empathetic. Like, I know people can feel differently than how they are, right? But I feel like, to me personally, in my opinion, if you are born one sex or the other, that has to be your assignment, bro. It has to be. It, like, if you were assigned a male at birth, juice, now this is completely within your right to feel like you're not a male anymore. You want to be a female. That's completely within your right, bro. And I would not hate on you for doing so, right? I don't live your life. I don't live in your shoes. I don't know how you feel, so I'm not going to judge you for the lifestyle that you choose to lead. But there also has to be you have to be able to definitively say. See, now it's weird. It's nuanced, right? It is nuanced, right?
Let me just propose one. Let me propose a scenario.
See, I think you don't like it, Juice, in particular because it starts with Trump.
Let me propose a scenario. I'm gonna propose a scenario.
Go ahead,
We're talking about identification.
Yes.
Identification means recognizing a person.
As far as sex, not gender. But yes.
Recognizing a person. So, say you are, the form only has one, right?
What were you born as?
As far as I'm aware, the form only has one. It has sex. It doesn't say sex and gender.
I think the classification should come.
So the scenario is you have a person who comes to a counter at an international airport and they want to cross the border to another, to hop on a plane to fly somewhere else, right?
Mhm.
So they have to go through customs and they present their passport. And this person's passport says they're male, right? But
Right.
the person handing the person at the counter a passport is a woman. Do
What
you
were
not
you
think that
assigned
that
at
might
birth?
cause? No, if we're talking about the purpose is identification.
What
Now,
were you assigned
does
at
that
birth?
wait? Does the chromosomal makeup help identify somebody? I would say
This
the chromosomal makeup does not help identify a person.
to me,
How
this
a
is where the
person
common sense comes in.
represents. Well, let me finish though. How a person represents is how you identify them. So if a woman hands you a passport that says they're a male, if you are using your common sense, you're going to say, this is clearly a fraud. This is not correct. This is wrong. This is not a man standing in front of me, or vice versa. Say it says woman and you have a bearded dude standing in front of you. This is
But see,
clearly
there's
not
ways around that.
this is not a woman. And so you
A pass,
have all of this confusion that comes with that. Do you
a
not think that it
passport.
would be maybe more in line with the identification purposes to identify this person as the gender, sex that they are representing, or what their DNA makeup is?
I think it always has to go to what your DNA makeup is. I mean, that's
Really?
just me personally. That's just me
Okay,
personally.
why?
What were you assigned at birth? I can issue you a
Why
passport
though?
last month. Juice, it's the sex you were assigned at birth. So
Well, why do you think that it matters what their DNA makeup is more important than how they
because
present?
that goes down to your bones. You know, I heard of when this
But why does
debate
that?
was
I'm
really
talking about
when
identification.
this
We're
when
talking
this
about
debate was really heating up.
recognizing a person. Why does it matter what their
Now,
DNA
I'm
makeup
not
is
saying
over
I'm not saying
their
that if they want to be addressed
presenting?
as Miss over Mister, if they say their name is Mrs., now fine, I can identify you by your name, right? But you cannot deny what you were assigned at birth, bro. It's just. I mean, to me, that's clear cut and dry. You know, now you have the right, like I said, to me personally, you can go with whatever you want after that. But there's ways to prove. I can issue you a passport last month, but I can pull up your birth documents from 33 years ago when you were born. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's ways around that. I can address you as Miss, but you know, to each his own. To each his own. There was a
You want to
guy
answer my
who
question though?
there was a guy on who said I forget what he was, man, some scientist dude, when this debate was really heating up, and he was like, the reason they can dig up your bones 1,000 years from now and tell what sex you were is because that's how ingrained in your DNA your sex is. You know what I mean? Like if you died if when you died, you they dig up your bones 1,000 years from now, they're not going to think about how you felt you were. They're going to tell what you were from the DNA makeup there. You know what I mean? So like it goes
Why does that
beyond
matter?
because it's fact, Juice. To me personally. Now,
Whoa.
to me,
Why does that matter?
it
Wait,
is.
what if I told you it's not fact that they can tell?
And I
They
think
can
a lot
tell.
of this.
What
I
if I
think a
told
lot
you
of
it's
this.
not fact that they can tell 100% from your bones from 1,000 years ago? What if I told you that's not actually a fact?
Now, there might be a slight variation there, but I would
Maybe
agree with the
50-50.
scientists. I mean, who knows, man? 50,000 years is a long time, but
It's a
I
long
think a
time.
lot of this. I think a
Also
lot of
doesn't
this
matter.
for Trump's purposes. I think a lot of it has to do with documentation. I mean, think about it. We're already talking about the cartel and immigration, and deporting all these people back to countries. Now, if you come into the country illegally and you Jews change to a she, how am I supposed to know that you are you? Because you're a she. You know what I mean? Like you feel like you're she, but what your documentation says is you're he. So I need to know who you are. I think that's where a lot of this comes from. I don't think it has anything to do with, well, I don't agree with how you feel and that's dumb. I'm not going to call you that because that's, you know, because people have the right to be who they want, right? Like That's not a problem. I think a lot of this is mixed up in that immigration shit, man. They want to be able to tell who people are. You know, I don't know. It's just my opinion.
All right, you want to answer my question though? Why
Sure.
does it matter that their DNA that you can't see is
Right.
more important on their passport versus going to another country? That
I just
person at that
explained that.
desk is, wait a minute, that person out there is not going to be able to dig up their
I just
birth
explained
records.
that. It's not about the person at the desk taking the passport or the person handing the passport. This is about documentation. You know what I mean? This is about having a clear
But the
cut.
passport, if the passport says
It's not about how you
it's
feel.
registered with the government. What the passport says, it's registered with the government, right? The government issues the passports.
There's
So
ways
the
around
government
this, though,
would
Juice.
know. It's not a fluke. You don't get it at 7-Eleven. Like, it's a passport from the government. I've got my passport. It's a whole fucking thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why does it matter that a person presenting as a female?
There's ways around this because you can just if this is a serious if this is a serious executive order, if you have a sex change, if you're a man and you have a sex change, I'm sure they can add something to your passport. You have to get a new passport. Hey, was male, now recognizes as female. You know what I mean? There's ways around. So that I don't think that is a good enough example to say why this shouldn't go through.
What if I told you that's how it worked now, but Trump is proposing only male, female? Because that's what this thing is saying. Only male, female. Is that you don't think that's going to be a cause of confusion? Maybe a fucking problem?
Well, not for me personally. I mean, it's hard to step in someone's shoes.
Personally, D, you're not trans,
right? There we go.
Oh, well,
so that's not my issue.
Personally, D.
It's not. Well, you are when you're asking my opinion, right? If you think I'm wrong for my opinion, then you're asking about me. I'm not
asking you personally. I'm asking your opinion about whether or not you think a person who is trans would have a problem. Sorry. All right, let me talk.
Yeah, I get you, but you're still asking me about my opinion, so you are asking about me. So my opinion is it's not going to be my particular issue. I'm not trans, right? So to me, to you, this is not really an issue. You know what I mean? Like if you go get your passport, you're going to have a male on there, right? Do you put male on yours? There you go. Me too. So in my opinion,
if it doesn't bother you, it doesn't affect you, then it doesn't matter.
I think that there are ways around.
Personally, it doesn't matter.
Well, that's how tribalism works, right? You know what I mean? Like if
was tribalism what we're striving for?
I remember. Yesterday, I remember when the Redskins. I remember the Redskins were changing their name, Juice, and you were adamant. The Redskins are such a racist name. I can't believe they have this racist name. You cared about that issue, right?
I stand
you cared
here.
About that, right? Hey, yesterday you didn't even know yesterday that there was a game today. So you don't care about the issue of the Commanders anymore because it doesn't suit with the issue that you cared about. You didn't care about them. But you cared about them changing their name.
I cared about people not being disparaged.
Everybody cares about what they care about.
They're a group of people.
Everybody cares about what they care about, bro. Stop! Don't do that. Everybody is.
Do we got to bring up the black
mentality?
Faces? Do we got to bring up the black skins? Let's talk about
Everybody
the black skins.
If
it was the black skins,
you were all in on the Redskins.
With your favorite football team,
you were all in on the Redskins needing to change their name
with the big lips.
You were all in,
eyes, and they like this. You cool with that? It doesn't matter.
You were all in on the Redskins changing their name. You cared. They had the biggest game in their history today, and you didn't even know yesterday, so you didn't care. So like everybody cares when they want. Everybody cares when they want and doesn't care when they want. So it to say that I don't care because it doesn't affect me. You said I don't care about the trans issue because it doesn't. So if I don't care about
because it doesn't affect you. I didn't say that. You said that.
Well, everybody cares about what they care about, Juice. Everybody. That's my point. That's why I'm bringing up the Redskins and the Commanders. You cared when you did, and you didn't care when you didn't. Right. So it's nuances to it, man. Like this particular amendment is not going to affect us three, right? Because we identify as male, right? So I only care to a certain extent.
If it affects a friend of mine, that's okay for me to care.
Yeah, yes. If
it's okay for me to care.
If it affects a friend of mine, affects me personally,
then it's
just the
okay for you
same
to
as
care. But like,
same
if
as
it affects, like
same
maybe
as
it affects us. What if it affects
same as
somebody
the
who you don't
citizenship.
know, but you know is the
Same,
person who's? What if it's somebody you
same as
don't
the
know, right? What if it's somebody you
same as
don't know, but they're in a precarious position. You don't know them personally, but you know that they're in a precarious position in their life, a position that
so Trump
their
not
existence
recognizing
could be
them
made illegal,
as
right? What if there's a person out there whose existence could be made illegal because of a law? Is it okay for me to care then? Because I don't know that person.
I mean, you can care about whatever you want, but that's the thing.
All right.
It goes back to the tribal mentality. You care when you care, and you don't when you don't. That's everybody. That's human beings. That's who we are. You know, even the citizenship one, right? Like, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't want someone who has their life built here to be deported because they are not no longer deemed a citizen of the United States. But it does it affect me personally? You know what I mean? Like, you know, it is what it is. I feel like if this is real, I feel like that trans peoples, and as long as they are recognized by what they are now, like what they are, I feel like they can work around this, man. There can be now. It does say in the article that it will affect what you read, that it'll affect jails, prison settings. So transgender rights groups will say that trans women could be put at a heightened risk of violence in prison, right? Because they're going to be housed with the male prisoners, right? So there are certain instances where it could, you know, go either way, but I feel like this could be a workaround, bro. I think we can compromise on this. Okay, I think this is it's not as
What is the
bad as it
compromise?
seems. The compromise is as long as you are recognized by what you are now, by what you identify as now, right? But we still need a way to document what you were born as. You know what I mean?
What if I told you that way does exist currently?
How was that? You just said if I walked up to a passport counter and I handed you the passport and I was a man, born a man, and I was now a woman, that person wouldn't know, right?
Yeah,
Right? So, like, what do you
yeah.
mean?
Well, that was an example I made based on the new rules.
So,
But
yeah, I
like,
need a way to document what you were.
wait. Here, why would the person in another country that you're visiting know what you used to be? But like, either way,
Because it'll be on your passport
even
now.
still, the government knows. Right, they know, and that's documented because they do. When you get a passport, they dig into like every nook and cranny of your life, right? So they know
Mm-hmm.
if a person has transitioned, right? And so currently, if you identify as whatever you identify as, the passport will reflect what you identify as. So when you go to a counter in another
Hey.
country
Now,
trying to cross, let me finish. Let me finish.
hang on.
So if you're
No, I
trying
just
to
want
cross into another country and you
to.
present your passport, it will say if you're a person who transitioned, it will say what you
Dr. K.
transitioned. It will say
Dr.
what you
K
present
called me out
as.
personally. She said, D, it is disappointing to hear you talk like that because you are not personally impacted. You don't care. That is super disappointing. Hey, Dr. K, come on. Nobody said I don't care. All right. Of course I care. Right. I just said that people
Then we
want to
just.
be identified as something. They have every right to be identified as something. I'm
But
not a
if it's
heroin
illegal
addict.
to do that, then it's
I'm not a
not a right to identify as
I'm
somebody.
not a I'm not a heroin addict, right? So do I care about heroin issues? You know what I mean? Like
You do. You do. You do care about
if
heroin
I see a
because you just made up an example of you going through the mall and seeing somebody who's on crack.
well, right, but
Just so you
do
there,
I
you
care
do.
about
Yes, you
when
do, D.
I see
You
somebody
do.
high off
And you're not a
heroin
heroin addict.
when I see somebody high off heroin, do I when you see a bum asking you for $1 on the corner, right? You don't know if he's high off heroin or whatever, right? You might give him $1, but do you stop to help him get off the heroin? So there's a limit to how much it actually affects you personally. You know what I mean? Like you're not a heroin addict, so the heroin issue you can gloss over that. You know what I mean? Like now,
Wait,
I
am I
believe.
supposed to be helping him get off? Wait, first,
Well,
there's
it
a lot of
depends.
assumptions in that statement. Am I supposed to
There's
assume
levels.
this homeless person's on heroin? And
I
then
can have
if I
I can have
determine that they
empathy.
are, I'm supposed to help them get off heroin
I can have
or give them
empathy
a
for a
dollar?
person's. I can have empathy for a person's situation and issue without without without. And I'm not trying to say like not caring, but without it affecting me personally, right? I'm not a trans man, so trans issues
I think
trans
affecting
issues
you
don't affect
personally
me.
is caring. Maybe not like, okay, maybe not.
Well, I'm saying that it doesn't affect me personally. You know what I mean? So, like, to say, I just wanted to address that because Dr. K called me out personally. Hey, Dr. K, I'm not saying I don't care, right? Obviously, you can be whoever you want, okay? But I think that this particular amendment, there's a workaround here. We can get around this.
Oh,
We can
hey, all right.
come to some kind of an agreement here. It's okay. We don't have to be at odds over this one. I think anyone who's of the trans community, I think they can. There's a way around this, man.
All right, let's talk about the. If we're talking about stuff we care about that affects us. So this is another article. Let me throw it in the chat. It's another BBC. Let's throw it in here. Where's that? Man, we're so bad with managing time. I am so sorry. It's like 2 hours in. Frank, you got anything to say on this, man? My bad, dog. Like,
that was.
I know, man.
I will say that was a very interesting discussion between y'all. I'm more along the lines like this is wrong, and to your point, D, everybody should have the right to identify as who they want to identify as, and I think that's a full stop. And that should be, depending on documentation or whatever have you, that should be a right that they should continue to have. And that's all I'm going to say about it. So, just for them to be pigeonholed into just male or just female, it's very diminishing. And I just don't think the scope of this is correct in any way. So I think it's just all about human rights, and I feel like this is one of those human rights that should remain. So that's all I really got to say about it.
Also, like, what if the person is actually born intersex, right? Like, that's the thing, man. It's at least 1%, but 1% of a billion people is a lot of people.
But then it's like, then it's the thing is like, the way that was handled, or maybe still being handled, is like that the parents would choose which one, so like, I'm not sure if that's like exactly along the same lines of this whole thing, but that's still,
it's complicated, right?
Let's say that child grows to be an adult, and in the future they decide they know that they're born intersex and they want to change to the other gender.
Or maybe like their parents did choose, and as they grow up, they're like, well, that wasn't right. They made the wrong decision.
That's not how I feel up here and in here, right? Like, they should have the right to be able to, but that's a very specific situation. But like, I feel like the right should always remain with the person, no matter what.
And I'm all for like D, I'm all for like having the government be updated. Like, of course they should know. That's fine with me, right? Like, I just don't think every single person you encounter who looks at your ID should have to know if you're trans, right? Or like, like, it doesn't matter if you want to inform the government, you want to inform your state, I guess, like, even your state, maybe mostly the government, but fine, the state, even, like, for whatever reason they need to know, then fine. But like, when they start like targeting people, and this is what this is, right? This is a targeting. This didn't matter. This hasn't mattered for
right.
50
yeah,
years,
exactly.
But it matters
who's
now
even bothered?
all of a sudden.
Right. That's the thing. It's like, it's like, what kind of agenda? And I think a lot of this is to appease his voter base. I mean, look at a lot of the people who voted for Trump, stout, religious, people. Like, I think a lot of this is kowtowing to them. You know what I mean?
Common sense.
Yeah. Well, see, common sense is different things to different people, bro. Your common sense doesn't match other people's. Yeah, it is if it's common enough amongst the circle.
If it's not common, then how much sense is it?
Now there are certain things when you talk about
Kind of like
political
the whole thing
nuance.
is some bullshit.
When you talk about political
V,
nuance,
mhm.
when you talk about political nuance, that's different than common sense, Juice. Like this issue right here is not now whether a person was born male or female. That's common sense to me. Now, what a person identifies with as
We
now,
just talked
that's
about
not common
intersex
sense.
people.
That's Juice. Come on, that's like a percentage of. I mean, come on, man. You know, like that's
What's the
that's like
percentage of a billion? What's
yeah.
1% of a billion?
We ain't never met them. We ain't. Where's their voice in Congress? Where's
I
their
have.
You know, yeah, you've met somebody who's a hermaphrodite. You met somebody who is
Yes.
two sexes.
Yes.
You know, I haven't. You know,
Well, it's fine.
Well,
like you don't have to know somebody to
where's their
to realize
representation?
that.
And also, I just want to point out, like, I am a very empathetic person, right? I think, like I've been saying over and over, I think anybody has the right to feel and be however they want to be, right? I would be the last person to hate on someone for being how they feel, right? But the common sense comes in, to me personally, it's what you were born as, bro. There's no way around it. There's no,
So
now you can sit there.
business.
Yeah, now that's fine. That's your opinion, right? That's your common sense. But to somebody in an official
Yeah, that's
position,
my
it
common
could be
sense.
their
Not your
common sense.
business.
It could be their common sense that they need to know who you are. So it is my business. You know what I mean?
Gentlemen, I think we're going in circles.
Yeah.
I think we're
Oh, we do. We tend
V,
to do that here on the Intelligent Idea Talker podcast. Yeah.